Greetings, free thinkers. Welcome to the Hoggcast. How are you doing today? I hope you're doing fine. I certainly am. Okay, what do we have for you on today's episode? We have for you Liz Cheney's recent remarks, as in last night, that she made snarky remarks. A reporter couldn't help themselves. So Kevin McCarthy was talking. They were asking him questions, and then right at the end, they asked Liz Cheney, who's at the back there. You can see her. She is the mole inside the Republican Party. She's the squeaky wheel. She's the weak link. Now, what leftists will often do is, and I've learnt this from personal experience, back when I used to support the British Patriot movement, there was a certain man, I'm not going to name him, who was the weak link in the party and the weak link in the movement. And to get at me, because they wanted to get at me, they couldn't beat me. They targeted me, but they couldn't beat me. So to get at me, they targeted the weak link, which was this man. Now, the leftists will often repeat this process, whether it's in Britain, America, Canada, Australia, it doesn't matter. They do it because it's so effective, because the left always set the narrative in popular culture and in public in general. So Liz Cheney is the weak link, and at the end of this speech that Kevin McCarthy was given, he was answering questions. At the very end, one asked Liz Cheney about Donald Trump, and of course she started spouting anti-Trump nonsense because she's the weak link, and she walked straight into it because she wanted to, right? How bad must it be to be a Republican in the Republican Party, and I mean a politician, not a voter, and knowing that you have someone on your side who is against you, right? So we've got two clips to watch. One is of this, and then the next one is of Liz Cheney trying to play both sides, and it just doesn't work. So we'll get into that now. But if you haven't yet, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, turn on all notifications. It will notify you when I upload, and share this video around to social media. And it takes a few moments to do those things, and I need your help now more than ever, because YouTube is shadow banning this channel and we have been demonetized. So I could do with your help. Okay, let's go. Okay, so we'll watch the first Liz Cheney segment.
Especially Congresswoman Cheney, do you believe President Trump should be speaking, or former President Trump should be speaking at CPAC this weekend?
Yes, he should.
Congresswoman Cheney?
That's up to CPAC. I've been clear in my views about President Trump and the extent to which following January 6th, I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
So you could see there, she's the squeaky wheel, she's the weak link. They asked Kevin McCarthy, and then they immediately go to Liz Cheney because she is the weak link. She's the mole. They know that they can get her to say what they want to hear. They didn't hear it from Kevin McCarthy. This is the thing, I've said it before on this channel, and I'll say it again. The mainstream media put the answer before the question. They have an answer they want to hear. They wanted to hear Kevin McCarthy say, no, Trump should not speak. They didn't get it from him, right? So then they immediately turn to the weak link in the party, which is, of course, Liz Cheney. She's a part of the Cheney dynasty. She is corrupt up to her neck in it, like her husband is. They represent the old legacy GOP, where they just look down with utter contempt at Republican voters. They enrich themselves while the jobs go overseas. So you can understand why they see Donald Trump as a threat, because he represents the actual Republican voters, the very people that the Liz Cheneys of the world look down on. So they see Donald Trump as contaminated because he's been out and about with the ordinary folk who the Liz Cheneys and the establishment types of the world see as radioactive almost. Now, it goes further because you can see that this guy in the background kind of shakes his head about, I can't remember his name, but it leaves a very, we'll go back because I'll cut off about 10 seconds. So watch again, and after she talks, you can see there's a very negative air in the climate, in the room. That's because she fell for it. She fell for it like a good one. Take another look.
On the leadership, especially Congresswoman Cheney, do you believe President Trump should be speaking, or former President Trump should be speaking at CPAC this weekend?
Yes, he should.
Congresswoman Cheney?
That's up to CPAC. I've been clear in my views about President Trump and the extent to which following January 6th, I don't believe that he should be playing a role in the future of the party or the country.
As you can see, he shakes his head there.
On that high note, thank you all very much.
So also at the end, you notice everyone walks off one way and then Liz Cheney walks off the other. That's symbolic of the fact that she is a mole in the party. She is actively working to undermine the GOP. She wants Trump, who's the populist, out. She wants only like really legacy kind of GOP people like Mitch McConnell who do nothing for ordinary people, nothing at all. And it really bothers me because people have been electing the Mitch McConnells and the Liz Cheneys of the world to office again and again, every cycle, sometimes going on for decades, and they get nothing in return. They don't get a single day's worth of support from the Mitch McConnells or the Liz Cheneys. If it came to it, if there was a regular Republican voter, yeah, saying an ordinary person who was being smeared by the mainstream media, an ordinary Joe, right, who has voted Republican all their life. Let's say he comes from Liz Cheney's state, voted Liz Cheney all his life, and he was getting smeared for whatever reason by the mainstream media. And then they asked Liz Cheney to comment on it, and of course the mainstream media would frame their question so that they put the answer before the question. Liz Cheney would immediately turn against that man. She would immediately ditch him, immediately turn against the man and allow him to be crucified on the altar of misinformation being peddled by the mainstream media, because the GOP establishment politicians never stand up for the electorate. This is the difference. Democrat politicians, love them or hate them, at least they act. They push through on what they want to do. They're utterly ruthless and they will push through on anything they want to do, right? Republicans do nothing. They do nothing. In the case of Ted Cruz, they will write a strongly worded letter. They write a strongly worded letter, which the Jack Dorseys and the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world just wipe the backside of it. They use it as toilet paper. But look what I mean, how she walks one way and then they all walk the other. Now, let's go on to the second clip, which is her trying to dunk on the Democrat leadership, Joe Biden, but it just comes off as awfully uncomfortable, because this is the woman, Liz Cheney, who has been singing the praises of Joe Biden, who has been turning against Donald Trump, and yet all of a sudden she's going to criticise him. It just comes off as bizarre. Take a look. So here's her talking about Joe Biden, the Keystone Pipeline.
Passion that the president has shown in his remarks, unfortunately, you cannot in any way, there's no consistency between that and between the policies that we're seeing so
There's no consistency with you. You're projecting.
far. And so when you look at things like the executive orders, and in particular, the cancellation of the Keystone Pipeline, the executive orders banning oil and gas drilling on federal lands, those executive orders are nothing short of heartless.
But you supported this man. Liz Cheney, you supported him. You can't now feign outrage. You can't now feign shock. You did everything to undermine Donald Trump. You did everything to undermine the people that are supposed to be in your own party. You've sung the praises of Joe Biden. And now all of a sudden you're coming out and saying, well, it's heartless, the Keystone Pipeline being cancelled. This is on you, partly, not entirely on you, Liz Cheney, but this is partly on you.
And it is really important. We want to make sure, particularly for a state like mine, that the administration understands the impact of those kinds of orders.
So we see what she's really worried about now. Liz Cheney's facing a primary. I hope to God the people in her state wake up and realise they've been played like a fiddle by the Liz Cheneys of the world. Get them out. Vote in Republican populists who are from the people. They come from your flock and they represent your flock. The Liz Cheneys of the world, they come from the DC flock, they represent the DC flock.
The extent to which when you ban new permits for fossil fuel exploration on public lands, it kills economies, it kills jobs, it means we don't have funding for our schools, and it is important for the American people to understand and recognize that.
It's important for the American people to understand and recognise that you're trying to play both sides of the fence. You're partly responsible for this, Liz Cheney. And now people in your state are suffering thanks to your backstabbing of your own president, or now your former president. And all you're worried about is getting primaried. That's what you're worried about, and it's going to happen.
No matter what you're hearing from this administration, what they are doing is a war on the West, and it is a war on the American worker. People are losing their jobs, they're losing their livelihoods, and we as Republicans are committed to turning that around.
She's very keen for you to know that she is really a Republican. She says that every 5 seconds. She's a Republican. Oh yes, I'm definitely a Republican. She knows she's getting primaried. How odd is it to see someone talking like this after everything they've done to side against their own? They sided against their own. And now, because she's been told she's getting primaried and she might lose the only thing she really cares about, power, suddenly she's waxing lyrical about this newfangled Keystone XL pipeline and this strange group of people known as the public in her state. These people, this group of people known as the public. Suddenly she's took a great interest in these strange exotic creatures now that she's going to be primary.
We are committed to standing against those policies, to making sure that we are able to get access to our fossil fuels, and making sure that we're able to bring jobs back and get our economy growing.
So there you have it. We'll end there. It's just the same. It's just hollow. It's hollow. What she's saying is hollow rubbish, right? She's waxing lyrical about these newfangled, the public, these people she's never cared about before. Now all of a sudden she cares about them. Now she's getting primaried, and all of this coming from the squeaky wheel. All of this coming from the person who sided against her own. For the people of her state, I believe it was Wyoming, wasn't it? That's the state that she represents, or allegedly represents. If you put your trust in this person, and I have a very bad feeling that they will, because people can be stupid. People will just vote and vote and vote, without looking at who they're voting in to office. Just because it's got an R against its name, doesn't mean there only has to be one choice. You can vote, there could be other Republican candidates. It doesn't have to just be one. If they put their trust in her again, you're foolish. I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of Liz Cheney and her comments and her in general. I would be very happy to hear what you have to say. If you haven't yet, please like this video. Subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and share this video around. It only takes a few moments to do those things, and it would really help this channel grow, help us get discovered a bit more. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.